Yep.
Has everybody got the scripts?
Yep.
Yes, thanks.
Fine.
Yes, indeed. Can I ask, what's this play about?
Well, if we read it, we'll find out. And yeah, we'll read it and see.
I like to know before we start, you know, just to orientate myself.
Okay, well, it's about a pit disaster near Cawthorne in 1821.
Another sad tale from 100 years ago.
200?
100, 1821. Oh, God, you're right. Sorry.
Is that the one with the gas explosion? I saw a memorial in the churchyard. Was it 28 youngsters? The Husker disaster. That's what I thought it was at Silkstone Common.
That was about 17 years afterwards. And the Husker disaster led to all kinds of changes in pit management and child labour law, in fact. But the Cawthorne disaster, it seemed to be passed over.
Well, that's maybe why other disasters happened.
Is there no memorial to Cawthorne?
Well, not up until 2019 there wasn't, but we could visit one. We've got a picture of it.
Okay, can we make a start then? The Leeds Intelligencer. Am I reading a newspaper?
Yeah.
The Leeds Intelligencer of 26th of May, 1821, ran the story of a melancholy accident which occurred at a colliery near Barnsley. 11 men employed in that colliery were ascending from one of the pits. And after having nearly reached the top, the brig gave way. And then the chain breaking, the whole were unfortunately precipitated to the bottom, a depth of nearly 60 yards. 6 of them were killed, and the remainder so dreadfully injured as to leave but little hopes of their recovery.
Yeah. In fact, 10 people were killed, including 2 8-year-old boys, John Ingsliff and Charles Forden.
How old? 8? That's awful.
What were they doing down the pit?
Sitting in the dark for long hours, opening and shutting the trapdoors. They controlled the flow of air to the underground galleries.
Weren't they used because being small was an advantage?
What were the parents doing, letting them work at 8 years old? It's terrible.
I suppose families were so poor that they had to have every member of the family working.
Yeah, there's reports of children as young as 5 years old being taken down the pit in the Silkstone area. They were taken out of the beds at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to work underground.
Outrageous. There was no concern whatsoever about the morality of employing children below ground.
Come on, let's get on. Blah-de-blah-de-blah. Oh, I see you're reading a letter from a man called Jeremiah Gilbert to his mother.
Who's Jeremiah Gilbert?
He was a primitive Methodist. They used to work around all the mining areas, like as a preacher.
Dear mother, yesterday, oh, how awful was the sight. There were men and women running in every direction to see who'd fallen prey to death's dart. Mothers, wives on the pit bank, crying, stamping their feet, shrieking, and wringing their hands together.
That must have been awful. I think that I'm one of the character is a wife of one of the victims.
That's right, yeah.
Twice before they've brought my husband home, nearly killed. Well, the third time, they're about to bring him home dead on a cart.
Who is to tell Charlotte? She's expecting a second child in less than 2 months. She's lost her husband, her 3 younger half-brothers, and her young brother-in-law. Sorry, I think I came over a bit trouble at mill there.
Yeah, it's hard not to, mate, but it does seem like a bad melodrama, but it was all true. Just try it again. Just tone it down a little bit, Dave.
All right. Who's going to tell Charlotte? She's expecting her second child in less than 2 months. She's lost her husband, her 3 younger half-brothers, and her brother-in-law. Was that better?
Yeah, that's better, yeah.
Things don't change much, do they? It's like Grenfell Tower and Hillsborough. They will have delayed a public inquiry.
People giving evidence will have been given immunity from prosecution.
And finally, the person lowest down the pay scale will be prosecuted.
Yeah, but not in this case. In this case, there was no inquiry at all. No questions asked of the mine owner, Samuel Thorpe, or of his pit manager.
So a sad bit of history.
It's more than that, isn't it?
How?
Well, when I read through something like this, I always try to find out what it means today.
It means we are glad we don't have to have 8-year-olds down the pit.
Or have pits due to carbon emissions, hopefully.
Cannon Hall, Bretton Hall, Wentworth Castle, we've all visited them, admired them. What would the workers of the day make of us, knowing that they were treated as they were, that owners invested in slavery?
William Wilberforce was warmed by calls from the pits where the children were killed when he visited Cannon Hall. All right, it worked to abolish slavery, but why didn't he think the working conditions in the pits were worthy of attention?
I think when we admire something material, we need to look at how it came about. Who made it? Who actually did all the work and who benefited from it?
Oh, God, here we go. Can't you just enjoy stuff? It is what it is. They did what they did. You can't judge the past by the present standards.
Well, I think you can. People knew it was wrong. They chose not to look. And those who were making brass, well, they went to church. They learnt the teachings of Jesus, but they just carried on anyway.
The sound of profitable commerce effectively silenced ethical and religious scruples. So putting it bluntly, economics simply trumped morality.
I think in some ways we all do that. We know that some people live in poverty and have such crappy jobs that their life's nasty, brutal and sharp. But if we're comfortable, we choose to look away.
And sometimes we take advantage of it, if we can get a bargain.
Can we get away from the politics and just get back to the play?
Listen, I think it's good that it makes us think, because otherwise it's just like a museum piece, isn't it?
My lovely young boys, where are you now? You didn't come home from your shift at the mine. You lost your young lives when the hoist at the brow gave you to money, to power, and to coal. Well, we stood at the pit head, too terrified to cry, as they hauled up the bodies to lay on the ground. 8 years old is a tender age to die, for the sake of a mansion and a carriage and a pound. But you won't be forgotten, of that you can be sure, while there's a fire in the grates of Cannon Hall, and the owner's purse filled with money from the poor, and a queue for your job at his call. In how many lifetimes will we see this end, where the poor earn the money for the rich man to spend? In South Asia sweatshops, kids toiling away but cheap commerce and labour, it's a high price to pay. Oh, my lovely young boys, where are you now? You didn't come home from your shift at the mine, and you lost your young lives when the hoist at the brow gave you to money, to power, gave you to money and power, gave you to money and power and to coal.